to another edition of the Bow Wow Bill live stream. Let me share this around, and if you guys are watching this, please hit that share button. Let's get this information spread far and wide. I got a very special guest joining us today, the one, the only, Ty the Dog Guy out of Utah. Where in Utah are you? You're in not northern Utah. You're in southern Utah, aren't you?
No, I'm in northern Utah. Yeah, I'm in the Salt Lake area. It's called South Jordan.
Okay, so Salt Lake. You know, we used to go to the lagoon.
Oh yeah.
When I was growing up, yeah, I grew up in Boise, Idaho.
You know, I've
and that
been
was
to the lagoon.
You haven't been to the lagoon,
No,
and you got kids.
I know.
Have the kids
I've never been?
No way. Yeah, man, you got to take them. All right, so here we are live. So, do you want to do a quick introduction while I do some shares here, Ty?
Yeah, I'm just sharing too. So,
okay.
Yeah, what do you want me to just introduce who I am?
Yeah, introduce who you are, and then we'll get into it here as soon as we stop sharing.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Ty Brown. My website's tythedogguy.com. And we train dogs. I've got a company here in Utah. We've got about 6 trainers that work for us. We've got a cool little spot downtown where we train out of in an old warehouse that's falling apart. Yeah, we do a lot of behavior modification stuff. We do a lot of service dog training, and yeah, we enjoy it. It's a good time.
Cool. And my wife just stopped in, so all right. And then there is my last post, my last share. So 6 trainers, Salt Lake area, and in a warehouse that's fallen apart. How long have you been in that location?
We moved there about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you moved there from, where are you from originally, Ty?
Originally, I grew up in California. I grew up in Northern California in San Jose, and then in a town called Tracy. Let's see, I lived there. I moved to Utah when I was 17. And then my family's still in California. I moved to Spain for a couple years when I was 19, moved back to Utah. And then my wife and I, when I got married.
Well, I think your audio just cut out. Can you hear me?
Going back to Utah somehow.
There it goes. So the audio was just out for the last sentence there.
Oh, gotcha. Wasn't that interesting? So
yeah, Northern California. Why did I think you were from Boston, dude?
I lived in Boston. So my first so I got started dog training back when I was in high school. I begged a dog trainer for a job. This was in California.
Okay.
And he said, sure, and so he let me work for him, but it was mostly like an apprenticeship more than anything. And then in my early 20s, I got married fairly young when I was like 22. Probably when I was 23, I got a job in Boston managing a protection dog company. So this is, importing Shepherds and Malinois, training them for protection and delivering them around the world to the rich and famous and stuff like that.
What did you think about that? Is that something that you were driven to? I mean, well, first off, let's back up. How long have you wanted to be a dog trainer?
So I was 14 when I got my first dog. I begged my parents for a dog forever. Like, this was all I wanted. And for my whole life, I just wanted a dog. I wanted a dog. I read every book in the library about dog training and dog anything 2 times, 3 times. And so I'm 14. We move out to the country, and my parents say, okay, you can get a dog. And so I get a dog, and I start training her. I'm like, this isn't enough. I want to train more dogs. And so I just open up the Yellow Pages, and there's probably only like 2 or 3 dog trainers. I don't even remember. But I open up the Yellow Pages, and I just call the first number, and I say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can I come work for you? And I had been applying to jobs at like vets' offices and shelters and pet stores and stuff for years. My parents were like, they were supportive in that way. Like, hey, yeah, go ahead and, apply for these things. No one would ever hire me. And so finally I called this dog trainer, and he said, sure, come on out. And he was probably 25 at the time, so he seemed like an old, he seemed like an old man because I was like 14.
Right.
But he was established, and that's how he had gotten started. He had dropped out of school when he was like 16 and went to a local dog trainer in the Bay Area and said, "Hey, can I work for you?" So sure enough, a few years later, I'm doing the same thing to him. So he's like, "Yeah, come on out." And so he taught me a ton. And so that's what I did during high school. I learned a ton from him. So I knew I wanted to be a dog trainer forever. But yeah, so my early 20s, I didn't know the path. I didn't know how you get there. I didn't know, what do you do? And so, I was looking everywhere for jobs, like on monster.com. Is monster.com still used?
I think so, dude. Yeah, let me
Anyways,
find out.
so monster.com, I'm looking for like dog trainer jobs. I find one in Boston for this protection dog company, and I just talked my way into it. I was like, "Hey, I've got experience training. I did it during high school." And he's like, "Well, these are really high-end protection dogs," and I'm like, "Yeah, I could do that." And so anyways, I just kind of talked my way into it. Like, I remember the guy hired me on a Friday, and Monday I'm in Boston. Like literally just 2 days later, dropped everything. And I
Wow.
was like, I just want this opportunity. I'll sleep on the floor of the kennel. I don't care. Just let me come out and do this job.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I did that for a couple years, and it was fantastic experience.
What was, I mean, well, first off, I want to, have people that are listening, especially if you are somebody that is brand new in the industry, to take a listen to what he just said and how determined he was to make this dream happen. He was willing to sleep on the floor of the kennel. And, that just speaks to successful entrepreneurs will do whatever it takes when they have a vision in their mind to bring that into fruition. And that's I wanted to take a note of that. That's just it's like this intense, what did Napoleon Hill call it, a white hot desire that you have that is needing to be fulfilled, and until it is fulfilled, you're going to do just about anything, including move across the country to make this happen, and not knowing what is going to happen. I remember the same thing when I first started the dog training business. I hired these business coaches because I had no clue how to form a successful business. And actually, we spoke on your podcast about this. What's the name of your podcast?
Six Figure Dog Business.
Yep, Six Figure Dog Business.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing, man, is that I didn't have enough money to get a hotel room. In fact, I was planning on sleeping in the car because I knew that the information and what I was going to experience was so valuable, that you just do whatever it takes. And so you get there, you get to Boston, and did you have like any, from reading all these books and doing kind of your own, homework, researching, was there any eye-opening moments that you saw? Sometimes these protection dogs can be pretty intense.
Yeah, and so I look at it as a great education because the boss, the owner of the company, he's a good guy, but he was so busy, he would come in like once a week and like yell at me, "Why isn't this done this way? Why isn't this done?" And like, "This needs to be this way. This needs to be this way." And so I would scramble to learn, exactly, and so he had such high standards. I mean, we were selling these dogs for $25,000 to $75,000. And so people that are paying that kind of money have a certain expectation of what the dog's supposed to do. And so he's shouting at me to make sure this happens because at the time I was managing all the trainers. And so he's shouting at me to make sure that this happens. And so like it was such driving force because I wanted to keep this job. I wanted to do a good job. This driving force that I had to figure out of the box ways to do things, or he would show me things. This, of course, is before Facebook or before any sort of networking or anything like that. So I'm out, just trying to have to figure things out. Like I remember it would be something like, all right, we're in Boston, of course. And so he comes in, all right, this dog's going to New Mexico. Make sure it doesn't like snakes. And I'm like, okay, what? Or this guy's got a kid, and his kid wanders the neighborhood. I want him to say a command, and the dog just goes with him and follows the kid everywhere. So figure that out. And it'd be like, okay. And then, he'd come back a week later, scream at me, "Why isn't this done?" stuff like that. And so it was intense, but it forced me to learn a lot, and it forced me to experiment and really figure out how dog behavior works.
Sounds like a trial by fire.
Yeah.
Man. So we have a couple comments showing up. If anybody has any questions for Ty, go ahead and type them into the comment section on my Bow Wow Bill page. We have Brianne Neal. I can do that. How bad could they be? She says. So. And then we have Eric Malcolm Tate. Hey, I've been in Ty's T1. Oh yeah, taking your dog. Or wait, what is a T1D60 class?
TYD60. Transform your dog in 60 days.
Transform your dog in 60 days. How and what's the transform your dog in 60 days? Well, you know what? We'll get into that. Here, let me transform your dog 60 days. 60 days. So when was this? What year was it when you were working with this guy? Do you remember?
Let's see. I think I moved out there in 2003 to 2004, I believe. Okay. It might have been 2004 to 2005. But anyway,
and how long did you work with this?
Just under 2 years. And so, I mean, it was cool. I still have like amazing stories about like, I don't know, anytime I'm at a party, like telling stories about Shaquille O'Neal and his dog, or telling stories about Jesse Ventura and his dog. We got to train some pretty interesting people's dogs. And so to this day, I can still use those stories. And anyways, I had a good time. It was fun. I got to see a lot of the world. I got to really expand my skill set.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a unique experience, and what a cool, way to get into it is with dogs, something that you love,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and I've thought about that so many times, like, in our industry, I've worked with billionaires and multi-millionaires, and I've worked with people that like sold a family heirloom or got a loan in order to work with us. Like, dogs transcends everything, right? I mean,
that's absolutely.
You get rich people, you get poor people, you get happy people, you get jerks, you get all sorts of crazy stuff, and I love it. Like, there's nothing, I don't know, there's nothing like it. It's cool.
Well, and I was talking to Brad Strickland too, and it's it's a crazy vehicle into the family unit too.
Yeah.
To kind of pinpoint and diagnose dysfunctional type of behavior or structures within the family as well. It's not just about that dog. That dog can a lot of times just be a symptom to an overall problem, and a lot of times we address that as dog trainers. Would you agree?
Yeah, I find parallels in everything. I find parallels in the family relation. I find parallels in how dogs act in the business that we run. I find parallels in how I parent my kids. I mean, for like a multiple college dropout that couldn't get like a formal education because I'm too stupid for that. Yeah. Like I count myself lucky that I'm smart enough to have gotten an education from dogs.
Well, and it goes to show you that that doesn't necessarily mean an education when you have that degree. Real world experience and knowledge through experience is my preference, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, especially if you're having a trial by fire and expectations are laid upon you that you have to perform to, and you have to find an answer and a workaround to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
How many kids do you have now?
I have 4 daughters.
Oh my goodness! And you haven't been to Lagoon, dude?
No, we do other stuff than that.
Well, I guess you go all over the world. Where are you going to tomorrow?
We're going to Cuba tomorrow.
See? There you go. I guess Lagoon's kind of, it's always there. So you come back there. So you get out of there, and then where did you go after Boston?
So what happened was my wife got pregnant, and she wanted to stay home to raise the kids when the kids came. And making what I was making as a dog trainer in Boston, it wasn't going to happen. Like, Boston was so expensive, and we were north of Boston. We were on the North Shore. It was so expensive to live there. The salary I was making, I was like, we can't do this. And so I actually, for a bit, I packed it in, and we just said, all right, let's go back to Utah. And like, I'll go back to school and I don't know, I'll figure something out. I'll be like a regular guy that does regular things, like gets a job and stuff like that. So we go back to school. No, sorry, we come back to Utah. I get a job at a warehouse, not a warehouse, a factory. At a factory, it's a graveyard shift. It's awful. It's dark. It's dingy. It's like the worst experience. But they pay for school, and so that's why I'm doing it. So I go back to school, and my wife still laughs at me today because I go to summer semester and I take a credit and a half. It's all I took, and the credit and a half was Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, and the Excel, yeah, the spreadsheet one. Right. And like, it was so overwhelming for me. I was like, I can't do this. I hate this. Like, I got to find the testing center, and I got to do this homework, and I got to do this, and I'm despising every second of it. My wife's just like, stop. Don't. All right, fine. Don't do college. Like, if you can't even handle a credit and a half, maybe this just isn't for you. Yeah. And so anyways, I drop out of school, and I'm like, I'm not sure what to do because, again, this is probably 2004, 2005. This is before Facebook. This is before other dog trainers. The only dog trainers I've ever known was a guy in California that barely made it, and then a protection dog company in Boston that it's not like I was going to duplicate that and start buying like, super expensive dogs from Europe when I'm almost bankrupt. And right. So I have no idea what to do. I'm like, I guess I'll just start a business. I have this skill. I might as well do this. I don't know if you can make money doing it. And so I just literally we're on the verge of bankruptcy at this time. I get this website hosting package that's $10 a month or something like that. And that's like the most I could do. I don't even have a cell phone because I can't afford a cell phone. I don't have a vehicle because I can't afford a vehicle, but I got $10 a month. And so that $10 a month, because I'm making $12 an hour at the factory, and I'm supporting a family on $12 an hour. And my wife, she did like babysitting and she did everything she could, like odd jobs and stuff, but right. She wanted to make sure she was at home to raise the kids. And so anyway, she wasn't out at a job, although she would bring in some money. So $10 a month is all we could budget for this business. And so we do it, and I put together this website. My first website was okay. And I put together a website and say, okay, I'm a professional dog trainer now. And I went and I talked to a local radio company, like right away. I think it was April. And April is like National Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Month or something like that. And so it's April, the local radio show that I love, that I've been listening to forever. I know they have pets, and so I call them up and I'm like, hey, did you know this about April? It's National Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Month. Like, you guys should really be talking about this. And they're like, oh, yeah, we should. And so I'm like, I'm a dog trainer. I could come in and I could talk to the audience and give them tips on how to do some training and stuff like that. And they're like, okay. And so I go in, I bring my Rottweiler, and he, I have him attack the guy, the DJ. I have him put on the bite suit, and he attacks the DJ, and we answer questions, and it was a hit. And I come home, and there's like 10 leads in my inbox, and I go from there. And that took off. I started going in every week to the radio show. And so, my first year in business ended up being pretty successful, even though we had no money at all to put into it.
Yeah, well, you had a passion to make something that was in here, real out here, and that sometimes it just takes that and then stepping carefully. Eric Malcolm Tate says, one of my dogs has taken well to the e-collar, other has not. Ty and staff have talked on phone and email with Ty and staff, and they have been great trying to help me get through it.
Yeah, thanks. I was emailing Eric. Yeah, he got our DVD program, and I was emailing him the other day. Yeah, so let me ask you, because you do a lot of e-collar training. So one of his dogs had never had the e-collar on ever, okay. And he had it since 7 weeks, so he knows. Because the way he was describing it, because he said he put it on and the dog immediately shut down, and the most he ever used was level 4 on the Dogtra IQ, and the dog would shut down. And to me, that sounded like a dog that had maybe had the e-collar on before,
or some perimeter training or something like that.
And he's like,
Awesome.
nope, that never happened. And so, anyways, my recommendation to him was like probably the weight of it just felt super weird that the dog shut down.
Mhm.
And he just needed to wear it and kind of get used to it. And so hopefully that's working.
Yeah, yeah. That Michael Ellis he talks about superstitious behavior, what happens with some of these dogs, because this thing, it feels totally different than like a normal touch or a tap or hanging, dangling off. And some dogs just need to be acclimated a little bit more time to it, and also associated with a fun activity as well.
Yeah,
Something
we
that
totally do
dog
that.
really, yeah, really
Lots of
likes.
food
And
and stuff.
yeah, lots of food, and just like, this is coming from me. This is nothing to be afraid of. And that's where I'm kind of leaning towards, is that superstitious type of behavior, especially if they know that they haven't had any prior avoidance work with that collar or parameter training or anything like that.
What
So,
do you mean? I mean, like superstitious. What do you mean by that?
when a dog just doesn't know what the heck this is, like it doesn't feel like that touch or anything that this dog has felt over and over again. It's just something that's brand new, and the dog hasn't figured it out, and the dog's like stops and just like, whoa, what was that? And I could
So,
see it be kind of like a shutting down, like, because that dog just isn't computing it. Maybe it's just being rushed a little bit too much, even at that low rate. um, that's where, does that make sense?
yeah, I think I've heard people reference superstitious, but I like it because, yeah, I mean, you think about our superstitions, and someone's superstition might be, something that's totally fake. Like, I can't even think of anything off the top of my head right now, though. But I
Well, I
think
mean, it would alter behavior, like a black cat crossing my path right
yeah,
now, and somebody's going to be like, "Dude, I'm not even going down that block, even though it takes me 15 minutes.
yeah,
I'm
and
out of here."
it's
Or,
completely out of the blue. It has nothing to actually do with it, but your mind thinks it does.
yeah, or playing baseball. We used to not watch our socks,
Yeah, that's
and
gross,
I
man.
mean, yeah, totally gross, man. And it's not very healthy or sanitary, but it's superstitious.
Yeah, and so it affects your behavior. I like that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to use that. And you said that comes from who's that come from?
I heard it first from Michael Ellis.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I just latched right onto it. I think it was just on one of his talks, but I got to get him on here too. He's one of my favorite people, a very knowledgeable dude, and has a lot of good stuff on Learberg um, as well. So then you started, you got going here, man, and then you got your own facility. How long did that take?
I didn't ever think I wanted a facility. I remember my dad asking me at a certain point, like,
Holy
um,
Shrek!
you know, he's like, "Are you going to grow this business?" And I was like, I don't think I can. No one's ever going to do it the way that I do it. No one's ever going to, no one's going to ever care as much. And so I don't think I can. It's a skill based business. It would be like, like an artist. An artist can't like have 10 other artists, because
Right.
it's an art form, And so I didn't think I would. And so what happened was, yeah, so I started the business probably 2005, probably. That sounds about right. 2005, 2006. And just worked my butt off until it was, for like one person business, super successful. We're bringing in a few $100,000 a year, tons of clients, happy clients, things are going well, but I'm working like crazy,
Yeah, yeah.
just,
Burning the
7
candle at
a.m.
both
to,
ends.
yeah, just too much. I'm doing 10 board and train dogs a month. I've got 2 or 3
Wow.
appointments every day. And it's just too much. And so 2012, I had a trainer working with me in a different part of the state. His name's Joe. He was amazing trainer, and so he worked in a different part of the state. And I said, hey, why don't let's work together. I'll bring you all the clients. You pay me a percentage. And so um, where he was in Utah and St. George, like there just wasn't much business. And so my
Okay.
wife and I decided, look, we're gonna leave. We're gonna ditch it. And so we're going to Costa Rica. Do you want to come up here to Salt Lake with your family, live in our house, run the business? And so I burned out. 2012 we took off. I drove down to Costa Rica, and Joe came up and ran the business. And we were down in Costa Rica for probably about a year, maybe a little bit less. And Joe was getting burned out. Not only was he getting burned out, but it was the business needed to grow. And so we were down there, like I said, a little bit less than a year. So we come back in 2013 with the idea of like, okay, let's come back, let's do this, let's put together a facility, and yeah, we'll put together a facility and we'll start doing a whole bunch of stuff. And this is what I want to talk to you about with the shiny object syndrome, because I just wrote a book about this. I just finished it yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Before we went live, Ty was telling me, because we've been talking for years, and every single time that I call him, I got new things going on, and he's like, "You got the shiny object syndrome, Bill," and I concur, I do.
So anyways, 2013 or whatever that was, we got a facility, 4,500 square foot facility in a strip mall area. And yeah, it was eye opening, because like this is how stupid I was. I'm like, well, we're growing, we need to get this. And so and at the time, at this point, it was me, it was Joe. We had an administrative assistant that worked out of her home, and we had another trainer that was kind of part-time. She kind of helped out, and she wanted to go more full-time, so we knew we had her on board. But it was me, Joe, her, and the administrative assistant. And we opened up this building. And literally, like, I remember, we probably have 10 dogs there the first day, because that's what we had on board and train. I show up at 4 a.m. And take care of all the dogs. And, I'm sitting around and I'm like, oh, crap, how do we get more clients? And so how do we fill this place? Literally, I hadn't even thought about that before getting the building. I know that sounds stupid. And that's how so much of my business has gone, is like reactionary, where I'm like, oh, great, now I got to do this.
Yeah.
And so like at that point, we had success, but at that point, I had to like buckle down and learn everything I possibly could about marketing, about how to like bring in customers on demand, not just like because we always had customers, but it's not like we could say, okay, now we got an extra $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 a month in overhead. Well, how do we cover that? Well, I had to learn that pretty quick, and how to bring in customers, basically, using advertising, using all the things that we were doing, so that we had consistent revenue. So, and that led to part of my secondary demise, which was last year, because I got shiny object syndrome, much like you, Bill, and so this was my problem. And so anyways, we're in that building for a few years. And it grows and it grows and it grows. And we start offering everything. Let's do daycare. Let's do boarding. Let's do board and train. Let's do service dogs. Let's start doing our own dog food. Let's start, and then not only that, we move into we grow out of that building. So we move into the building we're in now, this 12,000 square foot building. And so we grow into this new building. And we're like, all right, let's add grooming. Let's add retail. Let's add, and I'm like, every bloody shiny object I can find, let me just grab for it and we'll put it in the business, right? And like literally last year, our business grew so much, and it was the most miserable year of my life. I can laugh about it now, but like I was this close to closing the business, because
you're just so burned.
Well, yeah. So what happened is we grew to probably about 25 employees, and so it's getting to the point where like people are coming in and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm the new, like, I work for you." I was like, "Oh." Like I don't even know who's being hired. I don't know what's going on. And not only that, so much of what we're doing is lower margin stuff. Okay. And so daycare and boarding, they're great, but they're lower margin. And boot camps, when you grow, are lower margin. And so we get to this point to where
lower margin means you can't make any money off it, folks.
Yeah, it like there's not enough money to be made. And so like you go anywhere, and daycare and boarding, you can't afford to pay those people very much.
Right.
So you don't keep them, and you're not getting like the most quality people in the world. And so now, for the first time in my business in like over a decade, I'm starting to get bad reviews. Some of them are fake, but some of them are like legit, like we screwed up. I'm getting bad reviews because we're not taking care of the people. Literally every day of my life at 5 a.m. is I'm waking up to make sure somebody's there to take care of the dogs. And 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. I'm putting out fire after fire after fire, because we were juggling so many balls. I had so many shiny objects that I was chasing. that we weren't doing one thing great. We were doing like 10 things okay.
Right.
So it was it
Trying to
was
be everything to everybody instead of, something to somebody.
yeah, yeah. And so, it was, we're bringing in six figures every month and then some, and like the business is growing, and I'm making more money, and like, but it, the problems that it brought was so unreal. And so what happened? So the end of last year, I just said I can't physically do this anymore. Like, one thing that I admire a lot of people in the dog business, because I think they have a high pain threshold. I have a low pain threshold. It is tiny. Like, when I start getting problems, I'm like, I can't deal with this. So
Mr. Credit and a half. Mr. Credit and a half.
And so, like, here we are, and I look at our revenue, and I look at my problems, right? And so my problems, every single one of my problems deals with keeping dogs at our facility. Low margins, keeping dogs at the facility. Unhappy employees stems from keeping dogs at the facility. Unhappy reviews all came from boarding. All of them came from boarding and daycare. None of them from training.
Okay.
What else? Like, being open 365 days a year from keeping dogs at the facility. Like, I tracked every single one of my problems that I was in the dog care business and not in the dog training business.
Wow.
And I looked at the business, though, and it was about 90%. So 90%, because we were doing about 30 boot camps a month, up to 40 boot camps a month, or board and trains.
Wow, that's a lot.
We were doing all this boarding, all this daycare. So 90% of my revenue came from keeping dogs there. And I said, I don't care. We're not doing it anymore. And so, as of September, we took this huge leap and we said, okay, 90% of the revenue, we're not doing it anymore.
Wow.
Here's what we are now. We're a business that all we do is training. We don't board. We don't daycare. In fact, we mostly got rid of our board and train program. Although my employees were smart, and they talked to me and they said, look, let's not keep dogs here. We can take one or two dogs home. So we still do a few board and trains. But anyways, we shifted dramatically and said 90% of that, we're just going to stop. And so for the past, not quite a year, but since September, all we've done is just training, and my life is so much happier. Like, I'm.
How's the adjustment in revenue and in the model?
Down a little bit, but the margins are so much better that now my people are getting paid better,
right?
Which is important to me. I'd always like them to be paid more,
right?
So I haven't taken more money out of the business, but I'm able to give more money to our employees. Probably our lowest paid is going to be around like $30,000 a year. It is our lowest paid, which I think is totally fair for a trainer that's new and that's coming up.
Yeah.
And so because they get these extra opportunities with taking dogs home, they make extra money doing that. Anyway, so I'm happier on their part. On my part, like, I still have problems, but there's so few compared to before, where literally my whole day was just problems. I just wanted us to train dogs, and all I was doing was just problems and problems and problems. And so, so I'm much happier now. The business seems to be working out well. Like I say, revenue is probably down 10 to 20,000 a month, but overhead is down like 30, 40,000 a month, or overhead's down quite a bit. So
well, it seems like less calorie for the dollar, but it's also, you're doing something that you love, and I mean, putting out those fires nonstop is, draining, man. It's
we can't serve people like that. Like, our job is to serve people. Like, we're here to help their dogs, and when there's so much employee fighting, and me dealing with problems, and my partner dealing with problems, and when that's all we're doing, like, we're not doing our mission. We're not helping people like we should. And so, we took this huge leap, and so far, we'll see. Hopefully, we're in business next year.
Yeah, well, so here, my fingers are crossed for you, dude. Well, and that's it, and I think that it takes that, 30,000-foot view and recognizing this pattern and seeing that all these roads are leading to dogs staying here, and then backing up and then being like, wait a second, dogs staying here are 90%, but it's still weighing that cost benefit ratio and going with the benefit because even though you are making some money, it's not worth it in the long run. And I think that once the dust settles here, that you're going to see that this is going to be a great decision, and you're much more focused, like what we were saying about earlier about the shiny. The shiny, what did you call it? I can't even
object syndrome.
Yeah. Shiny object syndrome, and it takes that that's that same attitude of doing whatever it takes as well to change this and make it what you benefits you and fulfills you. And it's not just about the money. People need to realize that there's different types of money, right? There's money that pays the bills, there's money that keeps the lights on and stuff, but there's also money that pays your body, your heart, your brain, all this stuff. And you got to consider it. And Zig Ziglar said that you got to look at life as like a tire, and you cut it up like pieces of pie. And each one of those pieces we fill with health, wealth, fun, fulfillment, all that stuff. And if any of those pieces are flat, then you got a flat tire and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that comparison. And at the end of the day, one thing I realized long ago is if I'm going to stay in business, it's because I'm going to be in love with my customer and I'm going to try to serve them the best that I can. And when I realized that we weren't doing that, I knew we either had to change or go out of business. Because we can't keep not serving them as well as we should. I mean, what's the point? I mean, if we're not the best at what we do, what's the point? And not only that, and this is just a good business lesson in general. The board and train, we sold that because it's the most money, right? I don't know what you charge, but
$3,000 and up.
Yeah, so we're around $3,000 as well. And so, hey, that's the most money. Let's sell that one. But when you look at all the hours it takes to do that, like our $1,600 program makes us more money than our $3,000 program.
Right.
And so we're focused on something that's we're spinning our wheels like, let's get more and more and more of these. And the more we get of them, the harder our life becomes. And it's not pushing us forward that much because we're just kind of spinning our tires. And so I see that a lot of businesses do that they're putting so much effort into something where the return is just not as good as it could be.
Right. Well, and not only that, but you're not reaching as many people as you can too, and you're not helping and serving as many people as you can. And and that's where you take it into that Transform Your Dog program, where it's not just here like on site being with me personally. It's kind of is that a home study course that you offer?
Yeah, so our Transform Your Dog in 60 Days program, what it is, we started it years ago. I sat down with Joe, and my partner, and I said, what is and this is another thing, that goes exactly along with this, because we said, let's look at the thousands of dogs, because between the two of us, we train thousands of dogs. If we're going to be happy with the end result, we're going to love putting our name on this. What does every dog have to have? Every dog. And so, no, we're not talking about aggressive dogs or house training or destruction, just every dog.
Yeah.
And so we realized every dog has to have great healing, off-leash recall, great stay behaviors,
standards.
Stuff like that.
Standards.
And we realized that, we were doing a lot of these little, let's do 2 sessions at a time, or let's do a little bit here, or let's do, we weren't doing programs that every person was getting amazing results. Everyone was happy, but we said, we want to be the best. And so what is the program that's going to do that? And so we sat down and we put together this 9-week course that said, I don't care if you're coming for destruction or hyperactivity or anxiety or aggression, because at the end of the day, 80% of it's the same, at least for us.
Yeah.
80% of what we do is the same with every dog. And 20% is customized based on, well, this one's aggressive or this one needs help with
polishing up on a particular case, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what we did with the program, is said, hey, if we're going to be happy with every person, what do they have to do? And we systematized the whole thing, and we filmed it. We filmed it 4 years ago. We recently refilmed it again, but I'm going to be honest. I think we're very good trainers. I know that there are trainers better than us around the country. I don't think we are the absolute best, but I think a very good trainer with a proven system, like do this and then do this and then do this, and there's a reason behind it,
Yeah.
beats everything. That is just fantastic, because I see so many really really good trainers, or trainers that I would think are better than me. They're like, all right, let's come at it this way, and then let's come at this one this way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I do see value now, having done a system for years. Like we give this, I've got testimonials from people in Africa that like I will never see them, and they're using like crazy equipment because they're poor and primitive, and not primitive, that sounds wrong, but primitive training equipment. Like they're using like ropes, and they like fashion together like a choke chain, like
Yeah.
getting fantastic results, going A to B to C. Now they would get better results if they were here with us,
But
but
working the process nonetheless.
exactly, working this process allows us to outperform a lot of even better training, I guess. Is and don't get me wrong, I think what we do is very very is fantastic, but having a system like allows it so that we can get people getting pretty predictable results, as long as they just fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Well, I agree that that system is the way to go. And let me go down here because we got a ton of questions that I got to run through here really quick. So so we're going back to that superstitious collar comment from Eric.
Yep.
So we got a couple people. I would use a stern reducer and also make sure that the collar is tight. John Sparks leaned in and says, "Holy Shrek," which, and then Michelle, some dogs, so I don't know, some dogs are, he's just being John. Some dogs are just so sensitive to electronic energy. Do you find that some dogs maybe it might be just sensitive to that electronic energy?
Yeah, what I told the guys, I said, look, we know for a fact if you've been using level 4, we haven't hurt the dog.
Right, exactly. It can't even feel it. I can't.
Yeah, and there is no way the dog got hurt from that. Period. We know that, like with no doubt. And so the only thing it can be is like it's like weird or unique, or and I like superstitious. I like the way that you put that.
Yeah, he's 4 years old, had him since a puppy, no collar fence, went back to training commands, wearing collar but not using it. He started to get a little better. Oh, but he still looks bummed when I put it. Yeah, I'm still leaning on that. It just kind of needs some more time, and not only that, but I would leave it on, just dummy collar it for a while. Don't even hit it or anything. Just let him wear it, get used to that weight. Before
in
Zoe's
the program, we don't have them start using it until week 3. And I'm not sure if you did that or not, but yeah, we have them wear it for 2 weeks without ever actually using it. So
okay. Before Zoe's hip replacement, she would tweak her lip weird and suddenly be afraid of sprinkler. Oh, this is that superstitious stuff that we're talking about. It is be a sprinkler of the she would be afraid of the sprinkler head. It happened right by thinking that the pain came from the sprinkler head. It's a good example of superstitious. Great, yeah. Brianne. Yeah, I agree. I had a dog that was afraid of rhododendron bushes, and I was like, what happened to this? Was this dog did this dog have an invisible fence in a yard with rhododendron bushes? And that was it, man. Yeah. It's like that. The dog got nailed a couple times before, and he associated with that bush. Michelle says just wearing it turned up no stem. And then Eric chimed in again. Larry Crone has also been helping me out, so I have a couple of the best giving me advice. So he's hopeful. Yeah, Larry Crone is a good guy to listen to as well. And then Brianne wants to know, what year did you buy the original building?
So I've never bought the buildings. I've always leased the buildings. Brianne's great. She actually she did some part-time work for us for a little bit, and then she got too lazy and just decided to stop coming in because she's lazy.
Yeah, Brianne, come on.
But yeah, I think 2013 or 2014 is when we got that building over in Sandy, the one that she knows.
Cool. And John Sparks pipes in again. I've been moving away towards board and trains and towards larger programs. So much better for me, the dogs, and the end result.
Yeah, and if the end result's better, and I found that to be the case. If we're serving our clients the best, it almost always serves us the best too.
That's right.
Because if we're just in it for all right, well, I'm going to do this because I want this. I don't know that that's going to work out well. But if you're like, well, how can I actually serve them better and do it in a way that it serves me better? I think you're going to win every time.
Well, I remember when you were saying about we started getting bad reviews, and some of them were trolls, but some of them we really failed these people. And just like when you fail somebody, it's a great opportunity to learn from that, and just say, hey, where did we go wrong if we can't figure it out already from their review? But just like some people will be, voice when you fail them, they're also going to voice when you have done them right, and when they're a big fan of yours and they become these raving fans. And you know what, it's funny that I'm talking about this because I have this book here. Have you ever read this book, Gitomer? Here,
I haven't.
Customer satisfaction is worthless, customer loyalty is priceless.
No, I like that.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to send you a link to this. How to make customers love you, keep them coming back, and tell everyone they know. And the cool thing about this book, dude, is the copy. Like, just look at the copy, how it takes you on a adventure. You can read the book just with the copy up here.
Yeah.
But that's horrible. But and then you kind of go through it. It's a great book. So I'll put a link in the comments here, but I'll also send you one of the. On Amazon, that book for you to get. I definitely recommend it. Brianne says, "Ha, shut up! I'll be back."
She's not going to be back. She's late. No, Brianne's great. She's got a cool shepherd that you've never seen somebody put so much work into a dog. Awesome. So she did a little bit of work with us. She went out to a local IPO club. Puts in a ton of time, ton of effort. Her dog's fantastic, and then we see her from time to time at some of our group sessions and. Yeah, she's cool and her dog's cool. But yeah, there was a time where she was like, well, I want to be a dog trainer. Like, cool, you would be a great dog trainer. And then she just fell off the map because that's what lazy people do.
So Eric says, yes, I followed exactly. My Catalahula is a rock star. I can even take her out a lot off leash with distractions and never could have done that before with her. She has incredible prey drive. I didn't realize that those Catahulas were one of the oldest breeds in North America.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's stuff like that is so, like, for me, it's so meaningful. I appreciate that, Eric. Thank you. Because, like I say, I would probably never meet Eric. I don't even know where he lives. He's somewhere in the country. And we were able to help him get to a level that he didn't think he could get to, just with, video training and stuff like that, which I just think is amazing. And I love seeing that. Yeah, it makes me super happy.
So is that where you see your business going on a little bit more online? Do you feel like you're going to be focusing more on, of course, the training aspect, get that more, but what do you see happening to Ty the Dog Guy? And then also we have a free, let me see, where was that? You gave me a link for a free book too that I'm going to put up in the comments here. Is that a book, right?
Yeah, it's my book. I wrote it a few years ago, and so yeah, it's a free book. You got to pay shipping and handling, and so
okay. I just posted that in the comments, folks. If you guys want to click on that, the Ty the Dog Guy, that will give you the order form for that book. And then, do you know what? When I was saying the transform your dog to 60 or transform your dog in 60 days, I thought that was something new that you came up with. So even during the time of shiny object syndrome, you made this too, right?
Yeah. So where do I see us going? Everything we do now revolves around transform your dog in 60 days. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is take that and just niche down as deep as I can and get that program out. And so that does take on a few different areas. I hope it's not a shiny object because what that does mean is on one area I've got my book, on another area I've got my DVDs, in another area we've got our local business. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is say, hey, this is who we are as a company. Transform your dog in 60 days. Even our service dog programs take longer than 60 days, but they use the TYD 60 program as its base.
Like a foundation.
Yeah, to start getting great obedience and work through any like manners issues and stuff like that. And so anyways, that's where this company is going to be. And I'm trying really not, as far as this company, trying really not to branch out and do anything more than that. Just like keep selling DVDs, keep selling the books, and keep selling local training. Um, because we don't need to do more than that. In order to have a successful company, we could just focus on that and just get more and more and more, and grow it, as big as we can get it. There's challenges with scale in our business because bringing on enough qualified people is tough. Our business is weird. Like, if you have like Brienne, her husband has he's an electrician. He has a really cool electrician business. Like, if you want more electricians tomorrow to grow your business, you can go find them. They're out there.
Hmm.
You just put out an ad and you find them. Or if
That's right.
you have a computer programming company, you can go find programmers. You can go find plumbers. We can't just go find dog trainers when we want to grow. We've got to create them. And so that's what makes it tough to grow a business like ours. So anyways, that's where we're trying to focus on, is like, how can we develop people so that they're really good at this, so that they can stay with us and work with us? How can we, and then just get the TYD60 program out as much as possible.
Well, and sometimes you end up training your competition too when you do that, because you are, instilling a lot of valuable insight with them, and they go out and do their own thing. There's no real guarantees. I'm looking at, I'm trying to find a good video of the service dog stuff. How did you get involved with service dog work?
It was just because we were asked. And so it really stems back to the protection dog work, to where anything that I was told to do by the boss, I had to figure it out. And so, like, about 5-6 years ago, people started saying, well, can you train a service dog? And I said, probably. What do you want it to do? And they would say, I want it to do this. And so we would figure it out. And so we've come a long ways from there. Now, in most everything, we're using, what I would assume are like best practices in the industry and stuff like that. And so our product is much better now than it used to be. But that's how it started, is people just started asking for it. And we're just like, all right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And just started doing a lot more. Nowadays, we do a lot of PTSD. We do a decent amount for kids with autism. We do a handful for folks with diabetes.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's hard because not everyone who thinks they want a service dog should have a service dog. Not everyone's a good match.
Right.
In fact, I find that most people that say I want a service dog, only a small percentage are really cut out to have a service dog. So yeah, we've learned a ton in the past 5 or 6 years on trying to find the best way to find the right people and, do the training the best for them. But it's tough, getting dogs to do like very specific tasks for people that aren't dog trainers. I mean, it's hard, and so, but it's fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. What percentage of your business would you say is service dog work?
Good question. 20 or 30% would be my guess.
How fulfilling do you find that aspect of your business?
When it works out great, like, I'm not a very emotional guy, but like,
I could
there's
see
been
that.
so many clients that have like brought me to tears, like literally just bawling, just, seeing like the way that their life has been improved, especially for some of like the kids that we've done. I'm a dad. And so, like, before I was a dad, I had no emotions. I thought I was like Dexter or something like that. Now that I'm a dad, like, I've got emotions, especially about kids. And like, and so when I see this parent and their kid, gets all this value from a service dog, like, it's huge. Like, it's incredibly fulfilling.
Well, and I think that people want that, connection and that dream, but they don't realize the work that goes behind it. And then also that,
Absolutely.
like you said, was the, they're not ready for it. I mean, what are some of the things that are kind of the red flags, or something that might dissuade you from taking on a service dog case?
Yeah. So, I mean, what I do a lot of now is in a first meeting with somebody, like, I tell them all the ugly stuff. I'm like, look, you're going to spend a lot of money. We're going to give you this dog that's really well trained, but it's going to take you months before you feel like you're even on the same page with the dog. You're
Okay.
going to have to put in effort every day. You're going to have to practice. The dog needs walks. You got to clean up poop. The dog's going to make stupid mistakes. You're going to make stupid mistakes.
Yeah, bad
Like,
days.
this is not a YouTube video where the dog is making your life happy and everything is roses and everything's rainbows.
Right.
Like, we'll hopefully get you there. But where we are now is we've got like this living, breathing creature that we're trying to convince to work for you for the next 10 years for nothing more than pets and loves, you know? And so that means a lot of work on your part. Even if we're doing all of the training and delivering you a trained dog, that means a lot of work on your part. And if we're working with you to train the dog, it means a lot of work on your part. And so I scare off a decent amount of people with that kind of speech, you know, like really explaining, like, hey, this is not easy.
Yeah.
And then I'm really just looking for people that if they don't, if they can't reconcile that, if they can't understand, look, there's all this work, all this effort, and I'm willing to do that, then that's where, you know, that's where we know it's not a good match. And so usually, like, those people just filter themselves out after that point, and it ends up working out well.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being pretty frustrating too, and sometimes when a dog is not really made out for that too, and we have to drop them from the program, or maybe it's
Yeah,
just something that isn't meant to be, and
that's tough.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it's absolutely tough. So awesome, man. Well, it's. I'm trying to think here. I think we touched on everything. Was there anything else that you want to chat on that we didn't talk about?
I don't know what's interesting to your listeners.
I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know if these comments are coming through. That's what I'm trying to figure out here.
It's weird on
Um,
mine. I'm not seeing all
yeah.
the ones that you're
Yeah,
saying.
do you know what? Here, I got them over here. So, Ty, keep doing the service dog thing. I'm a retired combat vet. My dogs help me more than you could ever know. And that's what we, as dog professionals, I mean, I feel so fortunate that I get to live my dream and I get to work every day with these dogs. And, it's an honor when we can bring a relationship between a client and their dog closer, and give the advice to the client that allows them to understand their dog on a deeper level, and vice versa, where
Yeah.
the dog is fulfilled with the relationship too. So, if you guys have had any instances, or if you want to have any questions for us, let us know. I have to go back to this other page. This thing's kind of glitching out on me. So,
Yeah,
but
my bet is that you probably, I look at myself and I look and say, what if I had been a sales guy? You know, what if I had been a computer programmer? I think I am a so much better person. I'm not that good of a person. I try to be a good person. I really do. But I think I'm a so much better person because of dogs, because dogs have taught me to be a more patient person, a more kind person, a more empathetic person. Yeah, I'm kind of, and I'll
live in
bet
the
you would say
moment.
something very similar.
Yeah, they teach you how to live in the moment, teach you how to forgive,
Mm-hmm.
and teach you, how to gauge a situation, but also teach you how to laugh at yourself.
Yeah,
I remember one time when I had a van full of dogs, and I was like, what the heck is going on? I feel, or the van's like shaking, and the dogs are like going crazy or something in there. And I'm like, what's going on back there? They're like playing with some toy. And I remember when I opened up the back door, all the dogs stopped and looked at me, but they looked at me with like this totally serious face, like just like a dog, like just kind of like, what are you doing? And man, I just had a moment right then and there when I just was thankful for my life and what I do, and just laugh so hard
yeah,
uh, that I'm able to do this. But on the same token, too, I see that a lot of times people mislabel behavior, and our job is not quite done yet, and I always look for always look for new teachers and ways to do things that I might not have known, or ways to do things better. And I love that Sean O'Shea says, let the dog be the expert. And I like that. I like the dog to tell us if we're doing a good job, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Ty, John Sparks says, Ty, do you local programs include, or do your local programs include a mix of private and group classes, or what has worked best for you and your clients?
Yeah, so private and group. Yes, to answer your question, yes. So it's a combo of three main learning things. So they get private sessions, they get group sessions, and they get video training. So those three things I try to encourage a lot of dog trainers to create their own courses, to create their own video training, even if they never sell it, but just to use with their clients, because we find, that we can double our efforts. We meet with them half the time, and the other half of the time they watch it on video. And then once that's all done, then they start coming out to group classes. And when you mix those different learning styles and you mix those different, components, somebody that is motivated will get some fantastic results.
Well, John and I actually took a certification course together, an online certification course together. And it was Tony Anchetta's KMODT course, right? And he does that all on video. And I remember going back to his videos and like backing it up, watching it again, backing it up, watching it again, and I picked up on the Joe sit exercise with the dog, putting the hands out in front of you like this. That was something that was just a nuance of training that I picked up just from that video. Yep. And, it's just little things like that, from being able to back it up and watch it at your own leisure too. A lot of times people in public spaces with new people and a lot of energy, and they're focused on their dog as well. A lot of these questions, or even their ability to really focus on something, is kind of diminished. But if they're in home in their comfort zone and relaxed, and they can sit and take notes and write stuff down, that learning experience can be much more efficient for them, and effective as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So Brianne says you'd still be in school to do any of that at 1.5 credits a semester. I don't know what she's talking about.
If I had done anything else, like be a programmer.
Oh yeah, totally. You'd still be at school, dude. Freaking out. So Tosh says, "Hi Ty, I'm in Little New Zealand, and I often see your business advice on pages. I've learned a lot off your advice, and even though much smaller market here, it is very useful. Thank you very much." And so now you've taken and kind of turned the corner, and you're helping dog businesses succeed as well. Is that what you're doing? Is that how'd you get into that?
Yeah, and so this is where I'm having to be careful not to try to do too much shiny object stuff, but where I am with my business now is that I'm usually, after we come back from Cuba from vacation, I'm only going to be going into work about twice a week. And so because things are running well without me. And so what I'm trying to focus on is growth through different areas now. And this is where you and I are talking shiny object. If you've got something that's working and is in a system, now you add something else. But that's where we made a problem, is we're just adding because it made sense, right? Hey, dog people are coming, might as well do grooming, might as well do daycare, might as well do boarding. But we didn't have perfect systems to make each one of them perfect. And so each one of them became a shiny object. So anyways, that's where what I'm focusing on now is I'm going to still focus on running the business. So I'll work from home a few days a week and kind of check in and stuff like that. And then I'll go in 2 days a week. But where a lot of my time is going to be is on like business consulting for dog trainers, but also for companies outside of dog training. That's what I say. Just yesterday, I finished writing a book. I just sent it off to the editor yesterday called, what did I call it? Stop chasing shiny objects and optimize. So, with the idea of like, you don't have to do everything. If you do one thing great, like you have In-N-Out up there in Washington?
Nope.
You don't have In-N-Out burgers up there? Man, that sucks. But anyway.
We have Dick's Burgers.
Gotcha. But like,
so you come up to Washington, dude, when you come up to Washington, I'll feed you some Dick's.
Gotcha. You're the third person to say that exact phrase. Except for the Washington part. But no, you look at like In-N-Out Burger. What do you go in there? They got hamburgers.
I've never been to an In-N-Out.
All they have, like their menu is like hamburger, cheeseburger. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Same with Dick's is like three burgers, and they don't even do like, you can't be like, could I get no tomatoes or no pickles on that? They'll look at you like you just called them an F word, man.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to do is everything that I'm in, like, let's just do one thing amazing.
Right.
And let's try to avoid the shiny objects. And so yeah, where right now my business is at a point to where it can kind of grow a little bit without me. Like, of course, I still need to work with it, but that's where I'm going to start focusing on what is now another passion of mine, which is thanks, John. Another passion, which is business and marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to.
Is John up in Washington too?
Yeah, he's right. He's not too far away from me, man. He just opened up his own little facility. I don't never been there. It looks nice. I can't wait to come see it, buddy. Yeah, but he's up here too. We went to that KMO DT class together, and when we went to the IACP, we had shared a room a couple times. So I know Johnny pretty good.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and his business is growing quite a bit. I'm gonna get him on one of these live streams as well. What do you think about doing one of these live streams for your business?
I like it. Yeah, I think it's so. Yeah, we had a company, a German Shepherd page. It has like 400,000 likes, and they've asked us. So we've been live streaming on their page once a week. It's interesting. Like, yeah, it's kind of a fun thing. It feels almost like a TV show.
Yeah, and there's stuff back here that you can do on the back end here where I think that you could even utilize this as a seminar. And, there's lots of things that you can use this for, both in the service dog and transform your dog. And you can do this on the private groups, private pages, and you can even do it or in a test group and kind of keep it in your own little network. So. Awesome, man. Well, let me put Ty the Dog Guy is your website. Here, Ty the Dog Guy. Let me put that on screen if it comes on. There it goes, Ty the Dog Guy. And then let me you have a Facebook page as well, the Dog Guy. I'm going to put that down here in the comments.
Yeah.
And then anything else? Where's the link to the 60-day?
You already put it in the comments.
No, that was the book. Is that
yeah.
the same thing, the Transform to 60 Days?
Yeah, so that's the book. And if people get the book, it gives them the opportunity to get the DVDs as well. Okay,
fantastic. So check that out in the comments. And I'm also going to put a link to Ty's Facebook page here. If not, facebook.com/dog obedience. Nice tag there.
Yeah.
And let me put that down here as well. And dude, you're going to be going to Cuba tomorrow, and you know what? You've been to a lot of countries around the world because of dog training now, and now you're headed to Cuba, and you are. Let me see. You need to show up, Bill. I've got a few barbels. Okay, John's telling me that he has some barbels that he wants to taste me. So what are the? I mean. You've been to countries all around the world. Where have you been?
So I've had clients bring me to Oman, over in the Middle East, Spain, Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico. I think that's it. And then about 24 states.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show you that when you're ready to do whatever it takes. And look at here, it's just been over not even 15 years. Well, about 15 years, 2003. And look at what you're doing now. Now you're taking that next step from, being the student to the principal and starting and train the trainers.
Yeah.
So. Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much, Ty. I appreciate your time today, and thank you for coming on here with me. And
thanks for having me on. This was fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Any way I can help you, I'm happy to. And let me know whenever you come up here. I got a date with you and a bag of dicks. Sorry, dude, I can't help. All righty, everybody.
Sounds good to me.
All right, just stay on board. I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it now, but I'll talk to you here in just a second. So thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll talk at you later. Bye-bye.